NEEVESKNIVES, I'm Jared, and today we're going through my top 15 favorite knives of 2023, under $100, and we ranked them. Now, I've already done the video on the top 15 favorite knives of 2023 over $100, but these ones are under $100, more affordable knives, and these are the best affordable knives of 2023 so far. Let's get it. So starting the list off at number 15, we have the Devo Pony Stout, which almost didn't make the list. And the reason why is because it is not available. I can't link it for you guys. I don't think it's available anywhere, and I'm not even sure if it's coming back. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. I have no idea. But it's such an awesome little knife, I had to put it on the list because, man, oh man, is this a good little knife. It's got a hollow ground 14C 28N sheep's foot blade, and the handle is, it's a small knife, but the handle is big enough for a full 4-finger grip. So what it allows you to do is have a lot of control over a utility style blade, which I love, while having a hollow grind. So if you wanted to slice with it, you have a lot of power behind that tiny little blade. And you know, even if you want to reverse it and cut straps, utility cuts, it's all good with this thing. Now, I love the regular stout. I absolutely love the regular stout, but it almost feels like this knife was originally supposed to be this size, you know. And I think the same thing about the big one. The big one I love equally, but that's what I mean. Like a lot of knives, like the smaller version, one version is better, right? That's my point. One version is going to be better all the way around. And with this one, man, this is just as good as the big one, just a little bit different.
Hey guys, Kev here, and I'm gonna do a shooting the shiz videos.
So yeah, the Devo Pony Stout got number 15. Let's get to the next one. Now the next one is by Orion Knives, the Orion Cetus. Now this is one that could have went higher up on the list, but I have a couple nitpicks that kept it down. But I love the style of this knife. The actual style and form and function of this knife is what I love about it. It tapers, or it cants from the spine, you know, all the way over the blade. So it makes it to where you have so much leverage down into that tip. Then if you turn it away from yourself to cut, you know, cardboard or whatever, it traps materials. And it's a hollow ground 14C 28N sheep's foot blade, and it traps materials like a recurve. It's literally like you're using a recurve without the negatives of a recurve. So it works really, really good for cutting and slicing. Beautiful sharpening tool and plunge grind. The access to the lock bar is really good. It's very smooth on the drop. I prefer the reverse flick on this knife, and the reverse flick is great. But the flipper tab is where I have a small issue. Now this, I do have two of these, and the first one had a little bit of a lighter detent. This one's definitely better. And so the action's fine on this. You know, the flipping action's good. Most people will be just fine with it. I just find the flipper tab a little bit of an awkward position. I wish it didn't have it. I think I would appreciate it just a little bit more if it didn't have the flipper tab. But regardless, it does give it two forms of deployment, and a lot of other people would probably prefer the flipper tab. So, you know, there it is. And it is great. Now, I will say, if you're going to get the wood version, be aware that the wood is soft. So you have to like scratches and dents and things like that in your wood, which a lot of people do. So that's going to be a plus for a lot of people. A lot of people like their knives to wear really nicely. But if you don't, just be aware you're probably not going to want the wood. You're probably going to want the G10, because the wood will scratch and dent very easily. Go and check out Blade Banter. He does have a YouTube channel, and he's also a knife designer, and it's David over at Blade Banter. He is a top-notch guy, an absolute gent, and he's the one that designed this knife. Go and check out his YouTube channel. Next is the Petrified Fish B03. What a name. Maybe it has another name. I don't know, but maybe they should get better names. Either way, it has a D2 drop point blade, right? With a very ergonomic handle that has a carbon fiber inlay inside this G10, and it is done to perfection. It is absolutely seamless. You can't even tell, aside from seeing it, like if you touch it, you can't even tell there's anything there. So great job on that. Now I will say my one negative and why this is so low on the list is because of the clip. The clip makes it so if you're looking at this knife from a distance, and I think everybody wants their knives, if somebody sees it at a distance, not for them not to think it looks like a cheap knife, right? Because we all know what a cheap knife looks like. We can all see a knife from a distance and say, yeah, that's a cheap knife. That's a budget knife. We all can do that, right? But this is a knife that's very affordable, but it looks like a premium knife. Now, if the clip was a titanium milled pocket clip, that would increase the potential to look at this and see a premium knife. Now, it has a deep carry clip that's a budget clip, so it screams budget. So you can easily see that this is an affordable knife from a distance because of that clip. So, you know, I think that's a little bit of a downfall considering how good it looks, you know. Otherwise, good access to the lock bar, very smooth on the drop. It is very drop shutty. It does have ceramic caged bearings, and the detent is perfect. It's a fantastic detent. The flipper tab's a little bit pokey, so it's not the most comfortable flipper tab, but it's also not uncomfortable. It's just, you know, there, but the detent is solid. At least on my version, mine is super snappy, and I don't see anybody really failing it. Sharpening tool and plunge grind is done perfectly. Like I said, the ergonomics are great. As a tool, this is a great user. So, a lot of knives are trying to be too much. They're just doing way too damn much. And this knife doesn't do anything too much. It is a great functioning tool, a great functioning knife, exactly what it's supposed to be. Next, what are we at? We have 15, 14, we're at number 12. The SenCut Buckle 2. Now, I had to put this on the list. And the reason why is because this is my most recommended for 2023, my most recommended gift knife under $40. This knife is so good for under 40 bucks. You have a very minimal flipper tab, a blade that sits completely inside the handle. So it's a very thin, easy to carry profile. I mean, it's a compact little knife. The flipper tab is nice and comfortable, but also very minimal, super duper snappy. And when you snap it out, it has a very thin, super slicey spear point blade that everybody knows how to use. And it's so compact and small. And the reason why I love this, let me just get to the point. This thing is so useful. It is you can just manipulate it. It's like the knife you'd grab to peel an apple because you have so much control over the knife when you're using it. You know, whether you're doing utility cuts, breaking down a box, cardboard, you know, it doesn't matter what you're using it for. You can even cut straps with it because the flipper tab is so minimal, you can reverse it backwards and you don't even notice the flipper tab. So as far as use goes, anybody can grab this knife and it just worked beautifully for them. Now, it has good access to the lock bar. It is very smooth on its ceramic caged bearings. Deep carry clip that's inset with flat screws. T8 hardware all the way around as far as the body screws go. Yeah, it is great for under 40 bucks, and yeah, it's super solid. Now, the one complaint I have is the sharpening tool and plunge grind. I wish the plunge grind was better, but regardless, what a good knife, and I absolutely recommend that to anybody looking for a knife that they want to gift or they want to buy a gift knife for somebody. Number 11 is the SenCut SLASHKIN. Now, this is a knife that almost didn't make the list, and it could have went way higher on the list. Isn't that crazy? Let me explain. So first off, I love the design of the knife. It has a beautiful drop point, almost spear pointish blade with a deep hollow grind. Very, very thin geometry, extremely slicey, D2 steel, very comfortable ergos. You can choke up nice and tight to the edge or choke back. So very functional as far as a knife goes. The action is probably the best flipping action of 2023 so far as a liner lock goes. I mean, the flipper tab is just so high relative to the center of the pivot, and the flipper tab is very comfortable. As soon as you break that detent, grandma could flip this 10 out of 10 times. 100%. I would put money on it that grandma would not fail this. That's how snappy this thing is. It's impossible to fail. As long as you pull down that flipper tab, it's going. Then you have the thumb studs. So fantastic action all the way around. Really, really good action. I do really appreciate good action, you know, when you get it. This thing is an absolute guillotine. It's completely falls shut. But my negative is the damn access to the lock bar. Now, it's not bad enough that it made the list, right? It didn't make the list still, so it's obviously good enough that it made the list, but it's bad enough that it didn't go higher up on the list. If the access to the lock bar was a little bit better, it'd probably be bumped up a spot or two. Maybe not, but probably, because that's the one thing I think about every time I use this is that access to the lock bar. It is tight. It could be better. Is it like the worst? No, but it definitely could be better. So that's why that one was so low. Next is the KANSEPT Main Street. Now, I know we talked about no knives from previous years. It has to be 2023. And this one did come out 2023. But the Main Street originally was from last year or the year before. So, and it came out in a liner lock version. I do think there's enough changes on this for it to go on the list. And just so we're clear, the CMB Predator would be on the list otherwise. But the only thing they changed with this was the steel. So because the only thing that changed was the steel to 14C28M, which I absolutely love, I couldn't put it on the list because that's the same thing I did with the other list. But just know that if I was putting knives that where, you know, steel's changed or anything like that on this list, this thing would probably be in the, it could possibly be in the top 5. It would definitely 100% be in the top 10, but most likely top 5. The CMB Predator is that good. But back to the Main Street. The Main Street did change to a crossbar lock now with phenomenal action. They did a really good job. And they fixed the sharp control and plunge grind, which was something I recommended from the first one. So I love that they're listening to things like that. So they fixed the plunge grind. Now you have a perfect execution of a plunge grind. This thing, you can sharpen this thing until the end. Like, you will never sharpen all the steel off, and when you do, it'll be ready to be thrown away. The ergonomics are really, really good. The action is stupid good. My one complaint that is the reason why it's not even higher on the list is they put a budget clip on it when the original one had a titanium milled pocket clip. I don't understand that. Why did they do that? It doesn't make sense. They should have kept that clip on there, and it would look so much better. And the clip functions really good. So because of that, I had to keep it a little bit lower on the list, but 154 cm, it does come in different handle materials. I do like the Papa Green from the thumb stud, and it's a super solid knife. Number 9 is the Kaiser Mad Tanto. Had to put it on the list. I think this is an awesome, awesome knife. It is, and I'm not like I like Tantos, but I love other blade shapes a little bit more in most cases. But when a Tanto is executed well, I love it. I love it. And this is a perfect example of a well-executed Tanto. It has a drop point Tanto, so it's not a straight back Tanto. So the tip, the primary tip, which is usually the most difficult thing to use on a regular Tanto, is easy to use. So you can use it, you know, for utility cuts and things like that, plus you still have the secondary tip. The next thing is this 154 cm blade has a nice deep hollow grind, which when doing long cuts, like when you're doing extended cuts, like if you cut into cardboard and you're making a long extended cut, the hollow grind helps trap materials in because the nose is thicker material. So it kind of helps it stay into the cut a little bit better, which I love that. The ergonomics are as good as it could get. I don't think this thing could be any better as far as ergonomics goes. It is so comfortable, at least in my hand. The action, super good. They tuned the detent on this button lock fantastically, if that's a word. They did it great. They did a great job, and they did a great job all the way around on the knife. Deep carry clip, it's not reversible, which that is the one downfall. They should have made it reversible, but everything else is super solid. And they do a really good job with their 154 CM. Next is, and you know, man, I'll tell you what, man, this list is tough. It's very tough ranking these, because there's some knives that they are so close to each other that I almost could flip them, you know, and flip them vice versa. And I'm sure you guys know that. But the next one is the Vosstide Raccoon. This one is the crossbar lock version, which does have a drop point blade with 14C28N, micarta scales, very strong locking system. They did a good job with their crossbar lock. It's not a big knife. It's a compact knife, reversible deep carry clip that's inset with flat screws. So that's really good because it's ambidextrous. It's very ambidextrous. It doesn't matter what hand you're using. It will work just the exact same. And yeah, I mean, there's not a lot to say about it. It's a super solid knife. I don't really have any negatives to this thing. So yeah, the Vosstide Raccoon got number 8. Number 7 is the MOYARL. The MIGURON Moyaro. Now the MIGURON Moyaro is around 50 bucks, and you get 14C28N, G10 scales, steel liners, and a milled titanium pocket clip. That is reversible, by the way. Phenomenal action. This thing has great access to the hole. The detent is very well tuned, so it's super duper snappy. Good access to the lock bar, and it is very, very smooth. Both examples that I have 2 of them, and both of them are like that. Very, very smooth. Now, as far as complaints go, I don't have any. I think they pretty much did everything really, really well. Some people might say they wish the clip was a little bit deeper, but you know, it's got T8 hardware all the way around. It's got a good steel. It locks up rock solid. It's nice and ergonomic. You can get up tight to the blade. It's not a big knife, but you know, you can use it kind of like a big knife. So yeah, the MIGURON Moyaro, number 7. Number 6 is the SenCut Slash. Now, I'm labeling this the best knife under 50 bucks. Now, some people are going to say, what about the MOYARL? It had the 14C28N. This one has D2. That's true. That's true. And this one does have a titanium mill pocket clip. And you could argue that all day. But this has solid aluminum scales. Solid aluminum scales. So to have, in which SunCut and CIVIVI are starting to be able to do a lot more of, which I do appreciate. Solid aluminum scales, it makes the knife feel more premium. And SunCut, CIVIVI, and we have tuned their detent to perfection on their button locks. Fantastic lockup. It's a good looking knife. It's a great size knife. It's a great user. I really, honestly, the little negatives I have, I don't even care. Like the sharp control and plunge grind. That's one thing I'm gonna, and you know, a lot of knives on the list I put in places depending on how many negatives I had. So the fact that this one had a negative over the MOYARL and I'm still putting it ahead of it, that says a lot, right? Another thing is they do a good job with their heat treatment. So while it's D2 steel, it's D2 steel where CIVIVI does a decent job with their D2, and it has very thin geometry. Very, very thin. This thing slices like a beast. And it is ambidextrous, right or left hand carry. And the button locks, you know, you can use right or left hand as well. So, all in all, man, the SenCut Serene, I said the SenCut Serene in the beginning, right? The SenCut Serene is the best knife under 50 bucks. Now we're at number 5. And man, it gets tough when you're in the top 10. Can you guys tell what knife that is? What knife is that? Nope, you're wrong. It is the Pyrite XL, the CJRB Pyrite XL. Now, I want to be clear that if you would prefer the sheep's foot version that's smaller, put it on it could go right here. I chose the XL as far as which version I thought was the better one. It is ARPM9 steel, and to me, this knife, it not only sounds really good and has really good action, but it's super useful without being absurdly big, because it's a big knife. But it's a very useful big knife and very functional. Now, they do have the G10 one that is a lot lighter. It's G10 over stainless steel, but it is very light compared to the full solid steel one. However, it does flex a little bit because the scales are a lot thinner. So, because of that, I like the heavier duty one a little bit more. It is heavier, you know, it is more robust, I guess you could say. Not more robust, it's heavier, and you notice it quite a bit. But that's also what I love about it. The weight of it kind of makes it feel premium. The full steel scales almost feel like titanium. And the finish over the steel is a stone-washed finish. And it has a deep carry clip that is reversible, so this is an ambidextrous knife. But because it's on its smooth stone-washed finish, this is like such a good clip. It goes smoothly in and out of the pocket. But yeah. All in all, man, this is a super solid knife, and it has tons of milling on the inside, you know, even though it is still nice and heavy because it's solid steel, but a good XL. So, number 4. I look at the knives, and I want to start flipping them and swapping them.
Well, we're going to go to the trader right after like...
Dang. I'm going to come back to you. Okay, I'm back. I almost had to start swapping things out because it's difficult, man. When you get up to the top 5, you know, even the top 10, man, things can just, you know, you feel a certain type of way about certain knives. And like the top 5, some of these, man, it doesn't matter which place I put them in. I like them that much. And I like them for different reasons. But I still put them in order. And right now, number 4 is the Savivi Sukoki. Now, I know people are probably mad because I did a video not that long ago, and it was number 1. And I still stand by it is one of, if not the best, $65 knife you could get. You know, we have a couple more coming up. So, it's still there. And I would say they're equally as good if anything else comes up that's around that price. 14C 28N spear point blade, Ray Laconico design. Some of the best micarta you're going to get for this price. Amazing, high quality micarta. I love this micarta. It has an inset deep carry clip that is reversible. Multiple forms of deployment. Super good action. Extremely comfortable in the hand. Mega comfortable in the hand. You can use it in any direction. This is an awesome knife and one of my most recommended knives of the year, hands down. They did a phenomenal job with it. Now, my one negative, which is a twofold. I wish the sharpening tool and plunge grind was a little bit better, and I wish they didn't put the stop pin in the way from me cutting in a choil. So, because of that, that's probably why I bumped it down a little bit. Maybe, I don't know if I remembered or noticed that in the video I did it with number 1. But it's not that big of a deal. It's fine. Just keep sharpening it. But I like to be able to cut in my own choils, and I hate when a stop pen lands in the place that I need to cut in a choil sometimes. Now, the next knife, number 3, does the exact same thing. But it is the CJRB Echo. Now, some of you are like, I thought you said you liked the Pyrite XL even more than the Echo. Yeah, well, I changed my mind over a week because... I don't know, there's just something about the Echo because it has multiple forms of deployment that's super fun. This thing is so fidgety, so much fun. I love the whole deployment. This front flipper is so good. It works. Look at it. It's such a snappy front flipper. This thing works great. And because it's solid steel, you know, from the blade to the handle, it has a weight and a feel to it that just feels super premium. It's extremely ergonomic. Now, like I said, the Pyrite XL is also very ergonomic and probably a little bit more ergonomic to some extent, but not so much so that this one's not still very comfortable because it swells out right here on the back. It's got that back on it. It is very comfortable. Super slicey, great blade, great action, great everything. The one negative, because it is ambidextrous, by the way, deep carry clip that is reversible. But the 1 or 2 negatives, T6s, don't like to see T6s. And the next thing is The stop pin, they put the stop pin right behind the edge. Now, I will be honest, they did it better on this than the Sukoki, because on this one you at least have a couple good sharpenings, probably 3 or 4 sharpenings before you hit the plunge grind. Yeah, you got plenty of sharpenings in. So because of that, this one did beat out the Sukoki, and it's really good. ARRPM 9 steel. I'll be honest, I do like the 14C a little bit more, and I think I could honestly flip these back and forth 100 times, but this is the order I put it in. Number 2, the Savivi Qbit. I had to put it on the list as number 2. I had to. It almost got number 1. I'll be honest, it almost got number 1. I can't stop carrying this thing. It is one of the easiest grab knives I have right now. It's so lightweight. I can jog with it. I can work out with it. I can wear jogging shorts or basketball shorts. I can go play a basketball game and carry the damn knife on me because it's only 2.5 ounces. Now, while being 2.5 ounces, it has aluminum, solid aluminum scales. So it has a high amount of toughness while keeping a very, very light weight. 14C 28N drop point blade that is so slicey. Super duper slicey. The sliciest knife on this entire list right here. And the ergos, being a compact knife, it's super good. So you have a full grip on the handle, giving you maximum pressure into that blade. You can use it in any grip. The thumb stud action and detent is perfect. They tune the detents. Like I said before, Savivi has perfected the button lock action 100%. And even if it was unintentional, you have a bottle opener. So that's pretty cool. But deep carry clip that is inset with flat screws and reversible. So it's another very ambidextrous knife. Right or left-handed people are going to be able to use this just the same. The left-handed people are going to have to use their pointer finger, while right-handed people use their thumb to disengage it. So the Savvi Qbit had to be on the list. And like I was saying before, Savivi does a good job with their heat treatments. They definitely do a good job with their 14C. Their 14C is some of the best 14C from production companies. What on earth could be number 1? So, what on earth is number 1? The Kaiser Escort. It had to be number 1. It had to. And let me explain. So, this is the micarta one. So, it's like $95. It's right on the line. So, a lot of people would argue, well, wouldn't a $65 knife be better than this knife, considering you like the materials on this even more than this, because that is true. You could argue that 100%. But because Kaiser has done what they've done with the clutch lock, their crossbar lock, it's an adjustable crossbar lock. It has the best detent I've ever felt. I've ever felt on a crossbar lock. I mean, it actually works like a detent, and I love that. And I can tune it stronger if I want, or lighter. But it comes right out of the box perfect. Perfect. I've tuned other ones, to be even better, but there's no need. Extremely ergonomic. Very, very ergonomic. Hand melting ergonomics. Nice and slicey blade. Perfect sharpening tool and plunge grind. 154 cm steel. Deep carry clip that is reversible with flat screws. Thumb stud action. Stupid smooth. This is the ultimate work knife, I think. So I gave my best friend, who's a construction worker, a drop bear, and he loves it, like freaking loves it. So, I mean, I think it's, and I know this isn't a drop bear, but they're similar enough. But the one thing I will say, I do like the QUBIT and the Sukoki's blade shape more, because the tip is lower. I prefer a lower tip. You can see how much lower the tip hits. So I prefer that. But, as far as just what they've done here, and also Kaiser does a good job with their 154 cm, so I'm very happy for that. But the rock solid lockup while being stupid smooth. We see so many companies like not doing the best job with the crossbar locks. Of course, some are getting better and better and better, but Kaiser has perfected it. And in 2023, the Escort so far is the best affordable knife you can get under $100. That came out in 2023. Now, to be honest with you guys, there are a couple knives coming very soon that will absolutely change this list. And I know it for a fact. So stay tuned. You know, I don't know if we probably won't do another one of these till the end of the year, but you'll know them when you see them. Work hard, stay tough. Society's relying on you. Until next time, peace.